Good evening. I'll walk you through each topic in a clear, listener-friendly way. Topic headline first, then 3 to 4 concise lines that convey the detailed points. Topic 1. A U.S Iran pause to allow peace talks. And reports Iran may halt attacks helped send oil prices lower, WTI Brent. U.S. forces paused airstrikes for about 2 weeks beginning Friday to give diplomacy room, and reports indicated Iran would stop retaliatory attacks if U.S. strikes ceased. Talks have been happening indirectly via intermediaries such as Oman. The news sent oil sharply lower. Brent fell roughly 5 to 9% into the $88-93 range, and U.S. WTI dropped about 6% to roughly $83-84 per barrel after Brent had at times been above $100. Markets reacted with stock gains and easing in some bond yields. Analysts said lower oil helps inflation and interest rate outlooks, but remaining risks keep the picture fragile. Major supply risks remain. The Strait of Hormuz is still effectively disrupted, Houthi-Saudi clashes and attacks on Iranian ships continue, and the ceasefire is very vulnerable to new incidents. Topic 2. Markets showed relative calm into the weekend amid big tech and chip activity. Nvidia SK Hynix news, Apple options behaving unusually around earnings, and dramatic stock moves in China. CXMT surged. Risk sentiment was calmer as oil fell and equities rose into the weekend. But U.S. markets have been weak for 2 months, and Treasury yields remain elevated, so underlying fragility persists. Reports that Nvidia is pursuing a memory supply deal with SK Hynix, potentially up to about $500 billion in scale cited in some coverage, lifted semiconductor and AI supply hopes as a positive catalyst. Apple approached earnings with unusually large call buying, about $442 million of calls out of roughly $590 million in Friday option premiums, implying around 4% post-earnings implied move versus a historical 1% norm. Large trades included August mid-month $280 calls and weekly $320 calls. In China, CXMT's Star Market IPO exploded, up about 466% on debut as tight free float, strong demand, and China's memory self-sufficiency push sent market cap soaring. Some analysts warn of overheating and profit skepticism. Topic 3. Fed officials face mixed signals, slowing growth, persistent inflation risk, and uneven labor data, making rate decisions unusually difficult. Fed likely to hold, Singapore tightened policy as rising oil rekindles inflation risk. Policymakers confront a split picture. Growth is slowing while inflation risks have re-emerged, notably from energy, and labor and demand indicators are uneven, complicating the rate path. Although June CPI eased partly on lower energy, renewed Middle East tensions and higher oil have revived inflation concerns, and heavy AI data center investment by big tech could add demand and push prices up. The Fed has also reduced the clarity of forward guidance, increasing market uncertainty. Near-term odds favor a July hold, but a sustained oil upswing or stronger data could reopen the case for further hikes later in the year. Singapore's mass moved to tighten modestly, slowing the appreciation speed of its nominal effective exchange rate band to guard against oil-driven inflation. Core CPI ticked up, and GDP was strong in Q2 thanks to AI demand, leaving the economy vulnerable to energy shocks. Topic 4. Wildfires are spreading across Spain and France. Massive wildfires in southern France and multiple Spanish regions have forced more than 300,000 people to evacuate, producing an unprecedented large-scale displacement and emergency response. In France's Gironde region, fires have burned about 42,000 hectares, with annual cumulative damage approaching 100,000 hectares. And in Spain, regions such as Avila and Toledo have lost roughly 50,000 to 77,000 hectares in different reports. Authorities have deployed thousands of personnel, around 2,500 firefighters, 1,500 soldiers, and about 1,200 police, and neighboring countries have sent aircraft and teams to assist. Firefighters warn of pyrocumulonimbus EV,